What is a Whig? What is a Tory? The Whig Party doesn't even exist anymore. We kind of need to understand who these parties are to understand our writers, Defoe and Ben, who are very firmly members, activist members of their respective parties. Ben was a Tory, Defoe was a Whig with a silent H. The first thing we have to do is resist the temptation to try to turn them into two parties we know today. Parties over time change positions, change constituencies. Different groups of voters enter and leave parties. The policies change. So people who are in the Tory party now in Britain, which still very much exists, aren't necessarily the people, no, include people who in Defoe's day would be solidly Whigs. If it's 1709, and you're a banker or a stockbroker or a London merchant, you're probably going to be a Whig. Where today a lot of those people are Tories. I'm not saying this to confuse you. I'm saying don't try to turn them into the Democrats and the Republicans. They're not. Also, the issues have changed over time. We associate this moment kind of an activist religious political position with loosely with the right, though there are of course left wing religious groups as well. Whereas that is actually not the association that the Whigs and Tories would have, where a lot of the kind of hardcore religious preachers would be left of center rather than right of center. Things have changed over time. In the end, I will end by giving you an analogy, but not the one you think. So, the Tories are the party of the landed ruling class. They want a stronger monarchy, weaker legislation. They want Parliament to be weaker. They want the king to be stronger. They like landed wealth, traditions, hierarchy, and also a more hierarchical and ceremonial form of Christianity. They are high church Anglicans. Some of them are outright Catholics. They want um, they want churches to have a top down structure, and these things kind of overlap in the politics of the day. Having kings, having bishops, wanting rule by people with big landed estates, dukes, baronets, what have you. The Whigs are loosely the party of the mercantile middle class in the professions. They're the city party. They want Parliament to be stronger and the monarchy to be weaker. They would like to put Congress ahead of the president in our terms. They're less monarchical. They are more about free trade. They are very interested in advancing trade and business, finance. They are about upward mobility through industry and through business, through making money. And they are heavily associated with low church Protestantism, with the newer, harder core Protestant groups, hardcore at the time being like the Congregationalists, the Presbyterians. So somebody like Crusoe, both Crusoe and Defoe, the fictional character and the writer, are very much Whigs. They come from the middling classes. Defoe is actually a journalist for Whig political causes. They are they are descended from immigrants, from kind of Northern European immigrants from the kind of Protestant countries that shared the kind of Protestantism the Whigs privilege. And if you've read even a little of Crusoe, you see how much it's about getting ahead in the world as a member of the merchant class. It's not about inheriting wealth. It's about going out and making money, baby. It's another split. Inherited wealth versus industry, commerce, etc. Um, these don't quite match up with the Democrats and Republicans of 2020. They do match up fairly well with in American history with the North and the South before the Civil War. The Northeast is very much a Whiggish area. A lot of Congregationalists and Presbyterians, the Puritans, our Thanksgiving, our Plymouth Pilgrims, etc. They're very interested in trade, merchant, going to law school, stuff like that. The South develops as a more agrarian economy with large landholders, big old families, right? So think of people like Jefferson as Tories. He was a Whig, but like as analogous to the Tory party and that kind of thing. And people like Adams or Franklin as more analogous to the Whigs. Franklin looks as wiggy as any American ever can because he's also interested in experimental science. He's starting businesses in Philadelphia. He's about commerce. Yeah. Um, Cleveland, for those who are keeping score at home, was founded by Northerners who kind of culturally descended from the Whigs. Moses Cleveland is that kind of Connecticut Congregationalist who comes out here and starts, and starts Ohio as a kind of Connecticut West, with some of those things. If you drive around Shaker Heights, which is, it's a retro architecture, you kind of get it. Thanksgiving is kind of the more Whiggish holiday, or rather, it is the Yankee Whig holiday that's there as the alternative to Christmas. See, people like the New Englanders and a bunch of the Pennsylvanians, they don't celebrate. No, they don't all celebrate, especially the New Englanders. They don't celebrate Christmas because their form of Protestantism is against it. They feel it's bogus. They don't like kind of medieval traditions that are left over. It's all crap. So they don't celebrate that at all. The South, which tended to be more Anglican, celebrated Christmas right from jump. Thanksgiving becomes a national holiday right at the tail end of the Civil War as a kind of alternative Northern abolitionist, suffragist, like pro women voting cultural antidote to Christmas. So have a Whig holiday, enjoy your Whig turkey and your Whig stuffing, right? That's it's not political anymore, but it was totally political in the 1860s.